When you hear ceasefire, you probably think, okay, simple pause, right?
Yeah.
A bit of quiet in the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But what if that simple pause is actually, well, one of the most complex, strategic, and often really fragile tools out there?
Yeah, it's definitely not just hitting a big red stop button. Far from it.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into what ceasefires really are. We want to get past the headlines, you know?
Explore what makes them work.
Or, maybe more often, what makes them fall apart.
Yeah.
We'll look at the surprising strategies, the different types, which is interesting, and crucially, what makes one hold versus another collapsing.
And we've looked at a whole stack of sources, haven't we? Historical stuff, recent analyses.
We have. We've tried to pull out the key insights, the stuff maybe you haven't thought about regarding these really pivotal agreements. So we basically know a ceasefire means stopping the fighting. But what else defines it? Our sources say it's not just a random lull.
Exactly. It's formal.
It's an agreement.
Precisely. And what's really interesting is that it's mutually agreed upon. Okay.
Either the warring parties sort it out themselves, or maybe more commonly, you've got a third party involved.
Like a mediator. Or the UN.
Yeah, exactly. Or sometimes the UN even mandates it. But the purpose, it's usually not just stopping for stopping's sake.
Right. There's a bigger goal.
It's strategic. It could be about getting vital humanitarian aid in, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might be about trying to build just a tiny bit of trust between the sides.
Which must be incredibly hard.
Oh, immensely.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes it's just that first step, paving the way for actual peace talks down the line.
It's about creating space then.
Yeah, desperately needed space. That's a good way to put it.
And that idea of space really underlines that, well, not all ceasefires are the same thing.
Absolutely not.
We tend to lump them together, but the sources show clear categories. So let's start simple. The temporary one, a brief pause. Is there an example that kind of captures the imagination, maybe shows a human side, even if it didn't last? You're right, the most basic are these temporary ceasefires. Maybe days, maybe a few weeks, often for aid, like we said, or maybe holidays.
Okay.
And the classic example, the one everyone sort of knows, is the Christmas Truce of 1914.
Ah, yes. World War I.
Yeah, picture it. Soldiers on the Western Front in this just horrific war. They spontaneously stopped fighting on Christmas Day.
Wow.
Exchanged gifts, played football apparently,
Mm.
even buried their dead together. It wasn't official, not brokered at all.
Happened.
Just happened. But it says so much about that human need for just a pause, even a brief one.
That's a really powerful image. But informal, temporary, what about when things get more structured? When there are like conditions attached?
Right. That brings us to the conditional ceasefire. So unlike that spontaneous truce, these are formal deals. And they're tied to specific actions.
Like what?
Well, think about it. It might require troops pulling back from a certain area,
Okay.
or releasing prisoners, or setting up, clear, safe routes for humanitarian aid corridors.
So the fighting only stops if those things happen.
Exactly. The halt in fighting is contingent on those conditions being met, which, as you can imagine, makes them way more complex to monitor and enforce.
I can see that. Lots of potential disagreements there.
Definitely. And then if you're looking at sort of the ultimate aim, that's usually the permanent or durable ceasefire.
The long-term goal.
Yeah, a lasting stop to the violence. Often these are actually built into bigger peace treaties.
Okay.
A key example our sources mention is the 1994 Bishkek Protocol that was aimed at ending the first Nagorno-Karabakh war.
Right.
It wasn't just a pause. It was trying to weave the ceasefire into a broader plan for actual peace with ways to keep things stable long term.
Makes sense that permanence is the goal. But, this leads to the big question, doesn't it? The real challenge. If some ceasefires are meant to last, why do so many just fall apart so quickly? What's the secret? Or maybe, what's the massive difficulty in making them actually stick?
Yeah. That's where the rubber meets the road, isn't it? Our sources point to 3 really critical factors. And honestly, each one is a huge hurdle. First, clear terms.
It sounds obvious, but...
It sounds obvious, but defining clear terms in the middle of a conflict, it's a minefield. Think about it. How do two sides agree exactly what withdrawal means?
Yeah, where's the line, literally?
Exactly. Any fuzziness, any ambiguity leaves room for, deliberate violations or even just genuine misunderstandings that can spark fighting again.
So every detail matters. Who, what, when, where.
And how. It all needs to be spelled out meticulously, and even then, it's no guarantee.
Okay, so clear terms. What's next?
Second, you absolutely need monitoring.
Right. Someone watching.
Neutral observers. Could be the UN, regional groups, NGOs. They play this vital and often really dangerous role.
They're the eyes and ears.
They are. They verify if everyone's sticking to the deal. But, what if they can't get access? Or what if the monitors themselves are attacked?
Yeah, that undermines the whole thing.
Completely. Their presence is key for accountability, for building confidence, but it all depends on both sides letting them work freely and keeping them safe.
Which isn't always a given.
Not at all. And finally, maybe the toughest one, trust and incentives.
Ah, trust. How do you build that when you've literally been trying to kill each other?
Exactly. The sources suggest it's rarely some grand gesture. It's usually a slow, painstaking process, little steps. Maybe a small mutual pullback from one checkpoint, something easily observed. That can start to chip away at the suspicion.
Okay.
And incentives matter too. Both sides need to genuinely believe they gain more from keeping the ceasefire than breaking it.
Like fewer casualties, maybe?
Yeah.
Or getting resources?
Yeah, things like that. And crucially, they have to believe the other side believes that too and won't just use the pause to prepare an attack.
That's the real tightrope walk.
It absolutely is. When those things align belief in mutual benefit, some level of credible commitment, that's when a ceasefire has its best shot.
And these factors, they're not just theory, right? We see them play out in history, like the Christmas truce you mentioned. That stands out because it kind of lacked those formal elements, didn't it?
Precisely. No clear terms, no external monitors. It just happened. It held for a day because of this shared, spontaneous human feeling, not a formal structure.
A rare moment.
Very rare. And then you look at the Bishkek Protocol from '94.
The one for Nagorno-Karabakh.
Yeah. Significant step. Stopped the fighting in that first war. But it's also a powerful reminder that durable is hard.
Because fighting flared up again later?
It did. Despite being intended as permanent, the region saw more clashes down the line. It just highlights how fragile even permanent can be if those underlying issues, trust, clarity, aren't fully nailed down.
And then there was the Lusaka ceasefire in 1999. That was huge, right? For the Congo War?
A massive undertaking, yeah. Aimed at ending the Second Congo War, which was incredibly brutal.
What was interesting there?
Well, they tried to build in mechanisms right from the start. Things like rules for releasing prisoners, plans for UN peacekeepers to deploy.
So trying to embed that trust and monitoring structure into the agreement itself.
Exactly. Trying to build those essential elements from day one.
And more recently, we've seen others.
We have. There was the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh truce brokered by Russia between Armenia and Azerbaijan. That stopped another really vicious round of fighting.
Okay.
And then you've got the 2024 Israel-Lebanon agreement that set up a 60-day ceasefire, notably with multiple countries and the UN involved in oversight.
So these keep happening, showing how vital they are, even if challenging.
Absolutely. They're a constant tool in the conflict management toolbox.
Which brings us right up to today almost. We have a very significant recent example, the Israel-Iran ceasefire of June 2025.
Right. Our source material describes this one as being brokered by U.S. President Trump.
Okay.
And it came after, 12 intense days of back and forth, airstrikes, missile exchanges.
Yeah, serious escalation.
So the agreement involved mutual pauses in those strikes. The U.S. was mediating, and both sides apparently promised to halt further attacks.
But what's really illustrative here, based on the source material we have, is how fragile it was described, right?
Exactly. The sources mention violations happening pretty early on.
Which takes us right back to that tightrope walk we talked about.
It does. That reported fragility, those early violations, they really underscore how incredibly hard it is to establish truly clear terms when trust is basically zero.
And monitoring in that situation must be a nightmare.
A monumental challenge, yeah.
Ugh.
In such a complex, fast-moving conflict zone. It just shows how tough that jump is from a temporary halt to something that might actually last.
And just to be clear for everyone listening, we're relaying the information here as presented in the sources. We're not endorsing any viewpoints or taking sides.
Absolutely, just conveying the details provided in the material.
So given all these complexities, the fragility, the trust issues, it seems clear that ceasefires need more support than just the guys with the guns agreeing to stop.
Oh, definitely. And that's where groups like the Ceasefire Center for Civilian Rights come in. They play such a vital role.
What's their specific focus?
It's really interesting. They focus on civilian-led monitoring of violations.
Civilians themselves.
Yeah, which is crucial for getting independent accountability. They also work on legal routes accountability for abuses And they really advocate for protecting civilians during conflicts.
So they empower people on the ground.
In essence, yes. Empowering civilians to document abuses, to seek justice. It provides this critical sort of bottom-up reinforcement for ceasefires.
Making sure the agreements actually protect lives, which is the core point.
Exactly. That's their fundamental goal.
Okay, so let's bring this all together. We've gone through the definitions, the types, the challenges, the examples. What does this all mean for you listening? Why should these sort of technical details of ceasefires really matter?
Well, ultimately, their significance is just profound. On the most basic level, they save lives. Period.
That immediate reprieve.
That urgent, tangible relief for civilians caught in the middle. And critically, they allow humanitarian aid to get through to people who are desperate. That's huge.
Okay, saving lives, humanitarian access. What else?
They're vital for confidence building. Even a temporary stop, if it holds and is verified, can start to build maybe just a tiny sliver of trust.
Where none existed before.
Exactly. It lets the sides test the waters, maybe assess intentions. It can be the absolute first step towards actual negotiations.
And the long-term potential.
Well, that's the hope, right? Ceasefires, even fragile ones, can be the foundation for peace. They might evolve into an armistice, which is more formal.
Like a longer-term truce?
Sort of, yeah. Or even into a full, comprehensive peace treaty. They can provide that absolutely crucial pathway out of a long, brutal conflict.
So, as we've heard, a ceasefire is way more than just hitting pause.
Much more.
It's a strategic move, it's a humanitarian lifeline, and it's potentially a stepping stone towards peace, even if it's a really challenging one.
Definitely not a magic bullet. Its success really hangs on those clear terms we talked about,
Right.
on having trustworthy monitoring, and on having strong ways to actually enforce the agreement.
It's a tall order.
It really is.
Okay, so here's something to think about as we wrap up. How might our view of ceasefires change? You know, we often see them as failures when they break down, which
Yeah.
happens a lot.
It's easy to get cynical.
Right. But what if we focused more on their potential role in just starting a dialogue, igniting maybe a tiny spark of trust, even when they seem to falter?
Looking at them as potential starting points, even failed ones.
Yeah. What deeper insights might that perspective give us about that incredibly complex, often really painful journey from war towards some kind of lasting peace?